Hey, this is Chloe Caroline, and you're listening to Tobin Tonight.
Chloe, welcome to the podcast. How are you? How are the family?
Thank you.
How are the kids?
I am great. No kids, just me, myself, and I. And my parents are fabulous. I was with them yesterday, actually. It's kind of nice.
Absolutely. Now, I did a little bit of detective work, and I'm going to I'm not going to like overly drill you on this question, but we are Canadian-based. So I want to start off by saying that I'm reading that you were born in California, but you did mention, through text messages between us, you had some Canadian ties. Can you explain this?
Yes. I can't explain it. Yeah, I was born and raised in Manhattan Beach, California, but my mom is full Canadian, and my dad is half Canadian, and pretty much all of my family's in Canada. So both my parents went to school in Canada. My dad went to film school there at Queens. My younger sister's actually in Queens right now. Yeah, most of my cousins live there, most of my family. So we lived there when I was very young for a couple of years, and then every summer we go there when I was younger, for an entire month. Now I just get to go there for like a couple weeks. It
was your father, a musician and filmmaker. He must take some credit in your involvement in music because, playing Fleetwood Mac, the Rolling Stones, Dolly Parton, and others. That's the kind of music that I guess you grew up on.
I feel like I owe a lot of my influences to him, and just obviously like the support that I've gotten over the years. I was very lucky to have like a mentor throughout every stage of my career so far, and it's very rare, not a lot of up-and-coming artists have a parent. Nevertheless, somebody that they actually know personally, somebody who's been in the industry with the experience that he has. So yeah, I feel lucky.
Besides these acts, because I'm guessing these were a little bit of some of your influences, who are some other musicians that you looked up to or modeled your music after?
Well, I always say that, I kind of grew up listening to everything. As far as my sound, I feel like it's derived from, a little bit of the 70s. So, like you mentioned, the Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks is obviously in Fleetwood Mac, Rolling Stones, the Carpenters, Carole King, all of those, the Bee Gees. But I'm, a 90s baby. So in the early 2000s, it's Michelle Branch and Avril Lavigne and Dido, Alanis, all of those artists are a huge influence to me.
I was waiting for you to say Michelle Branch, because that's the one that I kind of linked together with you. I want to talk about this as well, because I read up on that you have a journal. Most people keep journals for, reflecting or, writing a dear diary, but your journal is filled with
song lyrics. Well, it kind of started out as being, about, for me to write and use as a diary, and then it kind of turned into me turning it into poetry, and then eventually song lyrics. And I did that for the majority of my younger years. And I did everything I could to do with creative writing. I used to write short stories, and then I was working on a novel in my journalism class that I would get all my journalism work done so that I had time to work on this novel that I thought I was going to release in middle school. So anything I could do with creative writing, I did, and journaling was definitely a part of that.
See, I think that's where we're kind of similar, because I remember in grade school, they would tell us to write our own creative stories. And I believe it was right before Christmas, and it could have been right around where the Pokemon movie came out, the first one.
Oh my gosh.
And I had the soundtrack. So I you had the Backstreet Boys, or Britney Spears, just creating songs strictly for that CD. And so it's not even a part of your criteria, but I guess the teacher probably looked at you like you had 10 heads, because once I had my creative story done, I had attached on the back a CD to the story.
Oh my God.
And then I made up these songs, I want Backstreet Boys to sing this song, and giving them their own song titles. And I'm sure the teacher looked at you I just wanted you to write a creative story. And I'm like, yeah, but if this turns big, I want these people to make a CD for it.
That's amazing. I love that. I remember I did a project in I think it was my sophomore year of high school. I was in an honors English class, and we got to create like a project where we basically had to annotate a novel and then choose various songs that would be in the novel if it were to turn into a movie, and why we chose those songs. And I remember that was just such a blast because I got to combine like my creative writing and music together for like a school project.
I'm sure you didn't put down, like, I'm sure you were humbled and you didn't put down all like, Chloe Caroline sings this, Chloe Caroline sings that.
Not at all.
That would have been funny just to see you pass it to a teacher and be like, Chloe, why is there like 10 soundtracks on this and it's all you? And you're like, I'm just that big of a deal.
Exactly.
So again, I mentioned this prior before even setting up this interview that I loved your vocals and your style. I'm seeing that it's been labeled new SoCal sound. Apparently a mix of old school influences with an indie pop twist. Now I'm not throwing any shade at that title, but in my mind I'm looking at it and saying I like Chloe Caroline because she reminds me of the Michelle Branches, the Vanessa Carltons. It's a little bit more of a humble, genuine sound. Is that kind of what that is?
Yes, I would love to say that that's what my sound is. You know, I really have tried to stay true to my roots, and it honestly just comes out very authentically. Like, that's how I write. It's very much so, like, for my personal artist stuff, it's in that style, and it's what I love about both the 70s and I feel like the 90s is that there were these like women that wrote very honestly, and there were so many organic elements, you know, in the instrumentation, but they're also like very funky and a kind of a mixture of R&B and soul and rock and pop, and they all kind of came together to create their own sound, and that's what Fleetwood Mac was, and that's kind of where, you know, Avril and Michelle Branch drew their influences from, was all these various genres, and they were awesome. They created their own thing because of it.
No, I agree. And when you were saying about how the art, like female artists in the 90s, are very genuine, very like just wrote for what they felt, the very song that comes to mind, and I don't know if it would come to your mind, but I'm thinking the Canadian artist of Alanis Morissette. And it's more, and like, you know, just her whole relationship with Dave, I think it's like Dave Coulier from Full House. But like, like the song Ironic, or the song of, I'm not going to repeat it on this because I want to try to keep this PG per se, but I'm a snitch, I'm a lover. But it's just very funny because I was like, you know, when you mentioned about true, genuine songs, that's just her. She was getting out frustration, and I felt like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We haven't seen any of that from you yet, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
You know, it comes in waves, right? I think that, like, all of us artists, though, we're extremely good storytellers, and, like, that's what I try to, like, remain true for myself and my work, is I always want to be, like, known as a storyteller. Whether I convey that necessarily super poetic or not at all, and it's a lot more blunt. It depends on the song, I guess.
I just had a quick question because I know that you said you were a 90s baby. This is one of my favorite TV shows, so again, I'm not going to cut off the interview if it's not yours, but Boy Meets World. Did you watch Boy Meets World?
Of course. We literally named my dog, like, her middle name was Topanga because...
Oh, nice. Nice. And the reason I bring that up was because I'm just imagining what you just said about your songs and just being very genuine as well. It's just, I can't remember the girl in the episode, and maybe you might know it. Eric dated a girl that was very flowery, and she was singing about sunshines and rainbows, and then he broke her heart. And then the next minute she sings about being a shallow boy. So I thought that was funny. I'm like, I really hope Chloe doesn't go down that road. Cause
oh man, hey, but isn't that part of being a songwriter, right? You have to, you got to put your emotions down in your song.
I'm not going to say I wouldn't listen to it. It would just be a very surprise if one day, if it's like recommendations come up on my YouTube and it's like Chloe Caroline, and it'd be like shallow. I'd be like, oh, that got to be very wholesome. And the next minute, I'd be like, you're a loser. And I'd be like, whoa, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Now, even if you do change the sound or whatever, you have a very distinct, I'm going to call it the Triple C, which is your Chloe Caroline crew. That's your fan base.
Yeah.
So I want to see some T-shirts made, but I'm not going to take any marketing rights for that. That's strictly yours. But
thank you.
It's a devoted fan base. How important is it to you to have a genuine fan base, not just like people that come and go, but people that stuck with you right from day one?
What I love about a genuine fan base, obviously, is like the loyalty and the fact that they seem to be people that really just like me as a person, like, and of course my music comes with that, but like they really just genuinely get me, and they understand that like as time moves on, like the song's going to evolve and change and grow, just as like I'm going to as a person, and they're on for the ride, which is really incredible. And you can't pay that, you can't pay for that. It's just, it's something that happens. It's a connection with somebody that you make, and I feel so lucky to even have one person that's like that. Nevertheless, like more than that, it's everything. I mean, those are the people that are going to be there if crap hits the fan. There we go.
When people come after you for changing your sound, these people are going to come to your defense and say, like, she's not 13. She's not going to write about a puppy if she's now like 28, 29 kind of thing.
That, and just like people that genuinely care. They're not just there like if I get, if I make it huge tomorrow, aren't just like hopping on the bandwagon. And that's great too. And obviously like I'm always the type of person that's like all arms. Anybody can hop on board at any time. But it's nice to know that there are people that have been there since day one to see me grow and have supported me from being like a literal teenager, now. So very, very awesome.
For sure. And like I said, I want to see those Triple C shirts coming out. I want to see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to happen. I got to get creative with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm going to do it, it's got to be really cool.
Yeah. You could put like crowns on it or princesses or just like have, what do you call it? Like a blonde background and the C in the middle. I don't know. I mean,
I do have T-shirts that have my face on them. So I do have some hardcore fans that have those. And then I have like a jewelry line that I created that they're, California little chokers, and they're all handmade, and they have a little tag on the back that says CC, and then nothing is impossible, because it's kind of like my slogan for life. So
I like that. It sounds very retro and 90s, the chokers.
Yeah, exactly. See, it's all part of the theme.
Yeah.
On brand.
Yeah. Now, I think I would wear a Chloe Caroline shirt around here, and people would be like, who's that? And then they'd probably, and then then that's how you get the noise out, right?
Exactly. Yes, you need something that's going to break the ice.
Yeah. I mean, if I had a Chloe Caroline shirt, I'd wear it, but at the same point I'd be selective of where I wear it. I wouldn't wear it at hockey just because I don't want to be teased.
I understand.
But I'd wear it around, and someone might be like, oh, he's comfortable with showing his support for female acts. And I'd be like, yeah, I have a Michelle Branch shirt. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, how about this? Next time I'm in Canada, I'm going to stop by. I'm going to bring you some stuff.
Good. 2016, I got down, you released Indian Summer. That's the song that I've discovered you off of. It's been featured in iTunes Hot Tracks, which is something that I genuinely look up to see if there's certain artists I like. It was played on BBC, Radio Disney, Nickelodeon. It was one of the big hits that I think it kind of, in my mind, it kind of, brought you to light. Tell me more about that song and that album in particular.
The first, actual single that I had released. I'd released a little EP before that, but that wasn't on, Indian Summer was not on that. And it was kind of like the first thing I felt like I had done that at the time really represented kind of where I wanted my sound to go. It felt very California to me, and I don't know, it just showed a little bit slightly more grown-up side to me. Obviously, I've developed since then, but at the time, I really felt like that represented me, and that song was really the jumping off point for me to grab a fan base. It really helped build one for me, and I feel very grateful to have written that with two really great people. It was awesome. It's crazy to see that song kind of keeps always coming back around, and you have to be very, very grateful to have a song like that, because it always comes back somehow. It was also, like you said, on Radio Disney and Nickelodeon, and those were two huge things for me. And Disney Channel, the video was on, which is very cool. And as a kid, obviously I'm a huge Disney kid, so that was major for me. I was very pumped about that.
From your album Gypsy Daughter, you have the song Gypsy Daughter off that, Old Souls, Messy, and Forgive Me. Now, these are all great tunes. I'm not saying they're not. It's just that Indian Summer was the one that I picked up on. I've listened to these ones, and believe me, I do have them on my iPhone. I was about to say iPod, but that would be dated.
Oh, man.
They all have different sounds and messages, which I think is really cool, and it kind of touches about the genuine fan base and, growing up and, really evolving with your music. The fans want to know, and this is why I'm here, what's upcoming for Chloe? Give us some details.
Yeah. So, oh man, so much. So I just finished shooting a music video for my song Confetti. That'll be the next single that's coming out. And that song's like my song baby. It's been a really, really special song for me since I wrote it, honestly. And I've been playing it at shows for a while, and recorded it as part of my record that'll be released beginning of this year as well. And it's extremely special to me. It's very personal. It's probably like one of the most personal ones that I've written, and people seem to relate to it a lot. So I'm very excited about that. It's about dating the life of the party, and it doesn't always it's not how it always appears, what that's like to date somebody like that. That stereotypical heartbreaker in disguise. That's the next one coming up here, and I shot the video with a good friend of mine, and we did it super down and dirty. Literally, you'll see when you see the video, and it's super exciting. So that's coming out sooner than later, and then following that will be the rest of the record, and then I have a bunch of new stuff that I've been working on for a very long time. So I recorded another basically full record in Thailand in May. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff on there, and it's kind of a development of my sound. So I'm really proud of that, and that's kind of the next step, the next growth of Chloe Caroline.
Obviously, music is clearly your passion and talent, but I see that you did some dabbling in acting. Is this a career you thought of pursuing as well?
Yeah, it is. It's funny. I really hadn't thought of that. I mean, I just knew it was one of those things where growing up in Los Angeles, obviously, like so many people, want to be actors and actresses. And I felt like naturally good at music and songwriting and singing. And so I kind of was like, well, I know how hard it is to be an actor. I don't really, at the time, it's like, I don't really want it that bad. I want music. Like, that's what I want. That's what, speaks to me the most. And obviously went after that. But I've always, since day one, had a liking for music and motion picture. And so that's kind of what I grew up around. My dad's been involved in that world. And so I started writing for film and TV, and the first thing I did was an end title for a Lionsgate movie called The Great Gilly Hopkins, and I got to write to a prompt for that, and it ended up getting chosen as the end title, which was very exciting. I had written it by myself, and seeing that come to life at the end of such an emotional movie was just very, very cool. And then from there, I had a couple other film and TV cuts as well, and then the Hallmark movie came along, and originally I had just sent them music. They were looking for some music, and they in turn were like, well, we actually were wondering if you'd want to audition for the movie role. And I was like, all right. So I was actually in Canada up at my summer cottage, and we just shot a little audition on my phone and sent it in, and literally got chosen, which was very crazy. And literally the next week was on a plane to Winnipeg where we shot the movie, and they ended up using about 5 of my songs, which was crazy, and my real name as part of the role. So it was definitely a blessing that I did not see coming, but it got the acting bug to come out for me, for sure. I got to work with some really great people like Kelly Rutherford and Cameron Matheson, and because of how incredible they were, I just was like, wow, I would love to do this again.
So hold up, they used your real name? Wait, Chloe Caroline isn't your real name?
No, as in they use Chloe as the name in the movie, which was like crazy because usually they wouldn't use.
They give you they give you a different name.
The original name was Katie or something. And they ended up changing it to Chloe.
Oh, okay, big deal here, big deal. They just said, you know what, we got her sign. Let's just use her name.
Yes. Yeah, and so then I got to release the soundtrack for that. So it's on Spotify and everything. It's called Love, of course, or Inspired by Love, of course.
One of the big questions is, do you have any plans for Canadian tours? Any Canadian tour dates?
Ooh. What a great question. I would love that. Honestly, that's something that has been a goal of mine for a long time, and it's something that I'm definitely working on. That would be awesome. If you have any favorite venues, let me know, and I will try to work that out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it from like, I don't want you to come all the way to Canada and then, look at it as the money wise of things of losing money. But
right.
I mean, from someone like myself that likes Chloe Caroline and thinks that she's a pretty cool person, I'd say,
thank you.
I'd say, hey, let's get her to Ottawa. Let's hang out. Let's get ice cream, and then let's put in some venues.
Right, exactly. Why not?
So the last thing we're going to do, Chloe, are you ready to play what we call the Pop Canaduh?
Oh, shoot.
The idea here... I feel
like I'm going to lose this.
No, we're going to try it the best we can. We didn't come up with too many questions here that are going to be too too tricky. God. So the idea here is that we're going to ask you some Canadian-based questions to see if you'd make it /pass for a Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Oh, geez. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so do you own a denim jacket?
I do own it. I own multiple denim jackets of various shade.
There you go. So 1 for 1. Name 3 famous Canadians.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Shawn Mendes, Justin Bieber, and Ryan Gosling.
There you go. You could have went with Reynolds or Gosling. I mean, there you go, right?
There you go.
Okay, so what month is Canadian Thanksgiving?
It is in October?
3 for 3. There we go.
Okay, there we
2
go.
more to go. What are Canadians known for?
What are Canadians known for? A lot of things. Hockey.
Okay.
Maple syrup.
And one more.
Tim Hortons.
There you go. Okay, there you go. That's okay. And now that's one more left. Have you ever watched Degrassi, Radio Free Roscoe, or Letterkenny?
Yes, I used to watch Degrassi all the time.
Okay, well there you go. 5 for 5. You can pass as a Canadian, even though you have dual citizenship.
God. I know. It's sad though. It's like I should be better.
That's gonna do it for this episode of Tobin Tonight. Our thanks to Chloe Caroline for coming on the show. Remember, you can find past, present, and future episodes on TobinTonight.com, Spotify, and iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and leave a comment or two. For Tobin and myself, this is Jacob saying, thanks for listening, and good night.